Welcome, salutations, greetings. Sologuy here with an after-action report. Flames of War 4th edition, on the way to Orsha, or on the road to Orsha, depending how you look at it. So, the offensive of Operation Bagration has started. We have here a Beach Grenadier Company here from the D-Day book, representing a Grenadier company that has been badly weakened. So let's see what we've got going here. We've got ourselves some fortifications, 50 mil AT gun. We've got mortars over there. Got one objective here. We've got the white platoon spread out here. Platoon commander. We got some machine guns, and this is considered rubble. Okay, from previous incidents. We also happen to have another 50 millimeter gun here, AT gun, and that's our second objective. And I've got a few of these little MG nests there, barbed wire, mines, barbed wire, MG nests. The Germans also happen to have a pair of 75 millimeter infantry guns. On reserve, we happen to have 2 platoons with the HQ coming in as well. So, let's take a look on the other side. The side of Russia. So, we have a Hero Strelkovy battalion, and this thing is bad. Okay, so, in this scenario that we are playing, there is a 4-inch deployment zone, and I've deployed one of the rifle companies with some flamethrower to back it up, couple of HMGs. I've got the other rifle company right behind it. Now, I do have an SMG company over here, Hero SMG. I've got 120 millimeter mortars. I have 82 millimeter mortars. And then I've got 4 45 mil AT guns, 3 Su-76s, and Katyushas or Katyushas. So this time the Russians, while they don't have the same amount of infantry you normally would expect, they got lots of tubes, lots and lots of tubes. So the Germans are spread thin. They do have reserves, okay? And, well, we're going to have to get this thing started because we have to start with a preliminary bombardment. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, preliminary bombardment has happened. These guys were unaffected. This platoon lost the stand, the white platoon. The one who really took it the hardest was the 81 millimeter mortar platoon. They lost 2 out of 4 mortar stands. And the platoon leader. Wow, not the best start for the Germans. However, the game is now afoot. Okay, we're at the end of Russian turn 1. The preliminary bombardment did do some pain to the Germans. And as you can see here, the Russian infantry companies have been moving up. They're starting to lay fire into this house here. Okay. The Germans are neatly pinned down. Okay. In the meanwhile, in addition to what else has been going on, we've also had the anti-tank guns move up, start laying fire into that house again. No effect. The submachine gun company, the Hero submachine gun company, way over there has started to move forward into the woods. Okay. And the 120 millimeter, 82 millimeter mortars, they've launched at various sites. The Katyushas have also launched. So what kind of targets would the Russians be interested in? The 120 millimeter mortars are interested in these guys here because they are template weapons. And they want to take them out. Bit of a challenge. These guys here are getting pounded. They lost one heavy machine gun unit team here. Other than that, no effect. The ASU-76 is also launched. So the Russians have 4 different sets of bombardments to work with. They have the tubes in this game. Okay, and then over there, they tried to launch on the 81 millimeter mortar company. They couldn't even range in. So that is the excitement for turn 1 Russian. We are now going to German turn 2. Okay, we're at the end of German turn 1. Not really a lot happened. This platoon did not rally. This platoon rallied. The mortars over there did not rally. So these guys decided to go gone to ground. That's it. They're bracing for the Russian attack. Oh, yeah, and they did not get any reinforcements. Onward and forward. Okay, so we're at the end of Russian turn 2. Things are happening. So, the rifle company moved up. The other rifle company moved up. Over here, they moved up. The anti-tank gun crews moved up. Okay, and you can tell here. And we have had firing galore. We've had firing galore. Here, the 120s and the 82s have ranged in, and the 120s repeated. This guy, possibility was going to die. Nope, he's still alive. And same thing with the 82 millimeter mortars. But I got 9 82 millimeter mortars, which meant a reroll for hits because they failed to hit the first time. But really, the serious action that's been happening is this white platoon here, because as you can tell by these 2, 3 empty trenches, okay, the Germans have basically lost 2 guys this turn. So they are in really bad shape, and that's their center. I mean, you've got HMG, you got machine gun nests, and they'll come into play next turn, and we'll see what happens with the German reinforcements, because that's going to be critical for the Germans to have the reinforcements. In the meantime, the Germans are going to have to look out, because here you got your SMG company coming in. Now, the idea is they probably are going to scoot to this way under cover and then assault here, and depending, maybe assault here. These guys are barreling their way through. But again, this is 1944. The Russians have a lot more tubes, gun tubes, to play with. I don't want to throw away the infantry as the Russian player, but I definitely want to put the artillery to my use. And I'm thinking maybe one more turn or two before the white platoon vaporizes. But I know the Germans have got reserves coming in. Okay, that's it. All right, so here we are at the end of German turn 2. Yeah, there were no reinforcements coming. So, however, the infantry gun platoon, they managed to rally themselves. They bombarded the 120 millimeter mortars, and they took out this guy in the process. These guys fired, no effect. Actually, these guys fired on the AT crew here, and they took out 2 guns. These guys fired on this rifle company to no effect. So right now, the Germans should be getting reinforcements the next turn. It might be time by the next turn for the white platoon to bug out, go back, and fall back to the other houses. Because the Russians are coming, and they are not going to be stopped. The 81 millimeter platoon, mortar platoon, on the other end of the board, way over there, they're still pinned from the initial bombardment. All right, that's it. All right, here we are at the end of Russian turn 3. The Russian juggernaut is still moving forward. As you can see here, these rifle companies have been moving forward. They laid down a steady stream of fire here, here, and here. They took out the platoon commander. I've got 2 teams in here, 2 teams in here through close combat. That's it. What is left of the white platoon, this stand, and the guys in there, and at the moment they don't have a leader, so I'm going to have to replace that. And at that point, I don't think anybody could have replaced him because he was too far away. So at the moment, they're leaderless. This is not looking good for the platoon. Okay, let's see. Bombardments. The 76s switched from here. They switched to there on the 82 millimeter mortars. Failed. They ranged in. They just failed to do any damage. Meantime, the 82 millimeter mortars, the Katyushas, and the 120 millimeter specials, don't mind this, this is the casualty pile here, they all ranged in on these guys. They pinned them, but those little howitzers are really tough when it comes down for the saves. So that's the excitement for Russian turn 3. They are moving forward. I do want to point out the SMG company has decided, instead of going across this way, because we got those 2 MG emplacements, they're skirting around. They're going to come here and go this way. Ultimately, their close range is what's going to help them when they go into close combat. It's getting them into close combat is the challenge for this. All right. That's it for Russian turn 3. Okay, so we're at the end of German turn 3. Reserves were rolled. Both remaining infantry platoons and the HQ came on. Okay. And this platoon here is still intact. They did not need to roll a last stand. The IG guns, the 75 millimeter IG guns, are still around. They unpinned themselves. They managed to bombard. And the mortar crew unpinned themselves, and they also managed to bombard. So we had 1 infantry platoon moving over to here into the woods, and the other infantry platoon moving over just behind the 81 millimeter mortar guys. Okay. And the idea is that the HQ would be able to spot these guys, come up close, establish a new leader for the platoon, because that's a leaderless platoon right now, and they are sitting there cowering in fear, and that's just the way things go. These 2 MG nests couldn't do anything. This MG nest fired. The 75 millimeter guns fired on here. They managed to pin down this rifle battalion. This rifle company, sorry. No casualties. The 81 millimeter mortars bombarded here. The 75 millimeter, the 45 millimeter AT guns, and there is nobody left. There's only 1 unit left. 1 anti-tank gun, so they're going to start rolling for last stand in the next turn. As far as decisions going for the 75 millimeter guns to fire on the Russian rifle company, simply because these guys are now posing a threat, because this HMG nest isn't going to stop them. It's not. These guys are coming forward. They get unpinned. They are going to move forward. They're going to bypass this in the next turn, okay, or at least the turn after that. And this is the main thrust. As you can see, the main thrust is here, and they're going. They are going. The SMG guys are going to be, the SMG guys over there are going to be following them, working their way down the road. These guys here will still continue to fire. I got a lot of tubes here for this particular game, so we're going to see what happens for Russian turn 4. Stay tuned. Okay, we just ended Russian turn 4. Things are going, things are popping. The AT gun platoon that was here, that blew the lone survivor, last man standing, they left. Should have been a commissar with them, but they didn't have commissars. These guys, in the meantime, have moved forward. You can see here, these guys have moved forward up. These guys are now within command range. They started firing on the German guns here to no effect. There was enough firepower from these guys, the heavy machine guns here and here, to force this guy into a pin. This is going to make him, it's going to be a little bit harder, you know, in terms of dice, in terms of shooting, which is kind of good. Oh yeah, these guys did get unpinned. All right. In the meantime, we've had mortars and other artillery fall on this guy. Finally, one of the guns blew up, and that was the gun that had the platoon commander. So this guy's going to have to roll for last man standing in the next turn. Okay. In the meantime, in the distance over there, okay, way over there, Katyushas tried to range in. They made it. Actually, they failed, but the 76s ranged in. They were ranged in last turn. They didn't destroy anybody, but they did manage to pin the unit. That special gift that keeps on pinning. So, and then in the meantime, to let you know, the SMG, Hero SMG, is now swinging over this way. So if we're looking at the general focus of the attack, they're smashing through this way. This is the path they're probably going to take, because there is almost nothing there to keep them busy. Once they bypass these machine gun nests, there's nothing to stop them. However, the objectives are still a bit of a challenge. Let me go ahead and zero in on that for a moment. Okay. And pardon me, the focusing is not... Okay, I'll pull it back. All right. So for that, now you've got minefields here, you've got wire here, an MG placement, MG nest, you've got a 50 mil pack gun, you've got a platoon there waiting for them. So this isn't over. I mean, the Germans could still hold on to things, but the Russians are getting pretty aggressive at this point. Okay, so that's it for Russian turn 4. Flames of War fans, stay tuned. What are the Germans going to do next? Okay, so here we are. We are at the bottom of German turn 4. Red platoon has moved forward. HQ is here to go and appoint a new platoon commander for what's left of the white platoon. Over here, the blue platoon has deployed, setting up the heavy machine gun. They're going to dig in future turns. They want to make sure that they contest. AT gun, they fired to no effect. Machine gun nests fired. This machine gun nest fired. Oops. Yeah, so this machine gun nest here fired onto this SMG company. They took out a stand. These guys fired on this rifle company, and they failed. And let's see, what else? Ah, yes. The howitzer that was here, I emphasize was, failed the last stand. So there is literally no German left flank. Gone. This heavy machine gun, this MG nest here, fired on here, scored a couple of hits, but they made their saves. So right now, Wow. You've got some pretty outraged Russians, and the Germans are now trying to hold on for dear life. Okay. So let's see what happens on Russian turn 5. Okay, we are at the end of Russian turn 5. Some turn of events. Now, the rifle companies are moving forward now. They still pinned this guy, still pinned the machine gun nest. Over here now we've got Russians in this building, in this rubble, and in this building. And the submachine gunners have been moving forward and up, as well as the 2nd Russian Rifle Battalion. In the meantime, these guys were hit with 120 millimeter mortars and 82 millimeter mortars to no effect, other than, well, hey, it pinned everybody. So everybody got pinned, but nobody died. Over here, the Katyushas came in, and with the mortars, 1 died. And that was, oh, the 76 millimeter, and only 1 stand died. But these guys are now pinned. So right now, if I'm looking at the present situation, pulling back, here's where the Russians are here. This is their furthest penetration. They've got this solid block. The objective, we have one objective here. We have the second objective here. We do have German lines of resistance. We have some AT guns guarding as well. So this isn't over quite yet, but the Germans are definitely forced back on the defensive. We will see what happens, guys. All right, that's it for now. Stay tuned, Battlefront fans. Okay, here we are at the end of German turn 5. The Germans tried to rally. These guys over here, they failed. Nobody rallied. AT gun fired on this building here. Nobody. This machine gun nest fired here and took out a Russian heavy machine gun stand. These guys tried to dig in, failed. These guys, the pack gun fired into here and took out a stand. This guy fired into here, took out a stand. This one here couldn't rally himself, fired on these guys down here, because after all that's pretty close, and they failed. So that's it for German turn 5. The Russians are now up. Who's going to win it for the Rodina? Zarodinu! Okay, we're at the end of Russian turn 6. This was kind of important because the Russians, in order to stay in the game, the victory conditions say they have to be, they either grab the objective, if they win, they have to take an objective and hold it. The Germans win automatically if by turn 6 or thereafter there are no Russian units within 8 inches of the objective. This is one of the objectives, and we've got Russian units there within 8 inches. Pillbox got destroyed in close combat. Well, actually not close combat, thanks to the flamethrower. Did wonders. This machine gun here got taken out in close combat. As these guys are moving up, the submachine gun company is now coming down the road. Our other rifle company is coming through, thanks to the flamethrower. That's now taken out. In the meantime, what has the artillery done on the other side? Basically pinned these guys and pinned these guys. They are doing their job. The Germans lost the stand over here, and they've lost 2 MG nests. So, what are the Russians going to do after this? Well, these guys here are going to have to So these guys here are going to have to shift that way. They've got to. They've got to put pressure. And the problem is, this objective here, if you notice, you got two minefields, got a machine gun emplacement, you got an anti-tank gun emplacement. We may have to do some shifting of artillery fire and just pound this forest. Either that, because we can't get too close to the artillery strikes, but we could smoke them and then assault. But the Russians are not quite there yet. They're going to need another couple of turns, and you already got all this blockage. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what the Germans do for turn 6. All right, bottom of German turn 6. A lot of things have been happening. Lots of firing from here and here. They completely unpinned here. The grenadiers unpinned. The mortars did not, sadly. They shifted around for some heavy machine gun action. Only one heavy machine gun could fire. We had the MG nest and this heavy machine gun fire. And they resulted in 1, 2, 3, 4 stands being wiped off the map. The AT guns also fired as well, causing some more casualties. But this Russian company right now is pinned down. It's kind of limited as to what can the Russians do at this point. They have to grind forward. So if we're thinking in terms of what would be the next thing to do, these guys need to shift this way. These guys here need to come up here to get launched for the next stop-off point. I don't know how much longer that the Red Company is going to be taking their casualties, because while they're giving the Germans casualties and the bombardments are helping, it's still, the game is still up in the air, because the Russians still need to be within 8 inches of an objective. And reading the conditions on here, the defenders win if they end a turn on or after the 6th turn with no attacking tank, infantry, or gun teams within 8 inches of the objective. Wait a minute. So, this is the 8 inches. This is the objective. 2 guys. These 2 stands here are what's preventing the Germans from having their victory at this point. So, yep, the game goes into another round. Russian turn 7. Stay tuned, Battlefront fans. Okay, we're at the end of Russian turn 7. A lot of moving. As you can see, these guys have been moving up. It was more like the cross-country / terrain dash to get them moving forward. As you can see here, moving forward, they're bringing in. We've got somebody in that building there. So we have got a few guys here that are within 8 inches. So the Russians are still in the game. SMG company is working their way down. Meanwhile, mortars and Katyushas and Su-76s pounded there, pinned everybody, didn't eliminate anybody. Over here, though, the 120 millimeter mortars took out a German heavy machine gun stand. And yeah, that's about it. It's kind of looking grim because this game could still go either way. The Germans don't have a choice. Their strategy is to stay and hold the line as long as they can, except the Russians are frighteningly close. But there's going to be a point where the Russians can't call in their artillery anymore. They got to go and use brute force. Problem is, he got a lot of cover here. So maybe the Russians should be going around this way and flank them. I don't know. Stay tuned, Battlefront fans. Okay, so we just finished off German turn 7. The Grenadier platoon rallied, not the mortars. They switched one of the heavy machine guns. They started to move out here to reinforce the center here, because that's where the big push is coming in. Meanwhile, the Grenadier platoon here decided to redeploy. They still have one heavy machine gun, their AT, the AT gun, which is independent, and these guys here, they fired and they took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Russian stands, including the Commissar pinning that Russian unit. This is gutsy. It's very gutsy, because what the Russians could possibly do in the next turn, redirect artillery onto here, possibly onto here, depending on their line of sight for the individual units. So stay tuned, Battlefront fans, because this whole area got cleaned out. We've got one more stand in here, but there's only 3 stands available, and that is a core Russian unit. Ouch. All right. More to come. End of Russian turn 8. Wow. The Red Company did not need to take a last stand, because they had a guy in here, they have a guy here, 2 guys in here, and now they're starting to move in, so it's going to be a little harder for the Germans to dislodge them. You'll notice that the White Company has moved forward here, and they started to engage them here. Machine gun also engaged. Effectively, the combined firepower from the red and the white pinned down these guys. Meanwhile, artillery and mortars have changed priorities, and they're starting to launch here. The 82 millimeter mortars, because there's 9 in the battery, got to roll again for this guy, and he didn't make it. These guys got pinned out here. Thanks to the 76 millimeter barrage, these guys have been left. The mortars here, they're still pinned. They have been pinned literally the entire game. Wow. The SNG guys have been moving down here. So ultimately what's going to happen, the Russians are going to make their attack, and they're going to go this way. They're going to go this way, and we'll see how long the Germans can take, because how much more the Germans can take, because losing that second heavy machine gun, that's a lot of firepower that just disappeared. And, well, hey, we're going to find out what the Germans do for turn 8. Okay, we are at the end of German turn 8. The 81 millimeter mortar platoon unpinned. They started to fire here on the SMGs, but there's only 2 mortars, so they had to re-roll their hits. They failed miserably. Okay, and oh wait, technically, wait, they get another chance on the leader. Let's see. Nope, they didn't make it on the leader either. The guy in the white, I didn't have a chance to paint his soil yet. In the meantime, these guys, they were pinned down. The AT gun teams ineffective. The 1 platoon's leaving these machine guns here. They were pouring everything into here for no effect. These guys are now moving into the woods. These guys are holding the line, but for how long are they going to hold out? Because the white team is going to come in and sweep. That's what's going to be happening. And the SNG guys are going to come in. They are definitely itching for some payback. No doubt about it. The red company is holding up here in these 2 houses within the command radius. They don't have a commissar anymore. They're hanging on for dear life. They really, really are. So, let's see what the Russians can do for turn 9. Russian turn 9. Wow, to say that this game isn't over yet. As you can see, the Russians have advanced. They started laying fire. There was close combat over here. Over here, that took out 1 German stand for the cost of 2 Russian stands. But the Germans can't replace. These guys are all pinned down. The 76 millimeter guns decide to shift over and blast them. The German platoon there lost a stand. And wow, it's just getting nastier and nastier because the game is winding down. So, what can be said? What can we say at this point? What a bunch of carnage that we got here. Right now, this is going to be the critical point. The Russians need to keep the pressure. They need to keep going here because you got two minefields here that are going to stop them. You got Russian troops that can come in here now and start pushing. Keep pushing and stop the Germans from holding on to those objectives. The game's not over. We're going to go into German turn 9 now. But already carnage. Okay, the end of German turn 9. Over here, the mortars fired. They took out one stand. Machine guns fired here to... They pinned them down. AT gun fired, no effect. This AT gun fired to here, no effect. The infantry here tried to fire, no effect. The other platoon moved out to here, so there will be backup. So this is still up in the air, ladies and gentlemen, as to how things are going to go. So we're going into Russian turn 10. Okay, Russian turn 11. Boy, lots of action going on this part of the board. However, I do want to point out that they tried to range in, and the 76s didn't make it. The 82 millimeter mortars did. They hit, but they didn't do anything except give the gift of pinning. Over here, it got nasty. Units were lost. Here, these guys got pinned by a bombardment by the Katyushas. These guys got destroyed by the 120 millimeter mortar. This guy got pinned. This entire flank here just dissolved at the cost of one stand here. And the red company has not rallied. They're still pinned down. This is looking bad. There's for the Germans. At this point, the red platoon is pretty much wiped out. They only got one unit left. They're going to have to make that the platoon leader, and it's going to have to take the last stand test. These guys moved in with close combat, and they are now getting really, really close, because now you've got more units coming toward the objective. And the Germans, if they want to stay in the game, they have to keep fighting if they want to stay in the game. SNG guys have come in, and yeah, it's all boiling down to what's going to be happening in this area. That's what's going to be determining the game, folks. Stay tuned. German turn 11 coming up. Okay, we are, in fact, at the bottom of German turn 11. And these heavy machine guns rallied, the mortars did not. So, guess what? I'm sorry, let me rephrase, let me show that to you guys so you'll see. These heavy machine guns rallied, fired on here, took out this heavy machine gun unit. This guy became the new platoon leader of Red Platoon and survived the last stand test. HQ started to move up to get into the action here. They fired on them at their moving rate. They caused a few hits on the Ruskies, but nobody was lost. And now the big question, and here's the debating question. Whoops, here's the debating question right here. This is it. Right here. Do these Germans here form that last defense line and close combat these guys? Or do they hold a defense line here and try to prevent them from keeping them from this objective? That's the question. Here's the problem, because if the Germans assault, their chances of success are going to be very poor. Very, very poor. because they get a 5 on their skill. They are beachfront grenadiers. They're a battered grenadier unit. And these guys are veterans, and they're looking to get back their homeland. Yeah, things work out that way. They do. Huh. Perhaps I need to roll that dice. Let's see. Okay. So let us find out. On a 1, 2, or 3, they're going to go for it. A 4, 5, 6, they're going to hold. A 1, it has been decreed. They will go for it. We'll be right back, folks. We had to resolve it. You saw the roll, folks. The Germans decided to attack. It paid off handsomely. Russian defensive fire was ineffective. They came in, they took out 2 infantry stands. The Russians did not motivate to counterattack. They fell back here in disarray. The Germans moved up to the line here. And that's it. This is what's left of the German forces over there. And the anti-tank gun is still pretty much out of it. So that is the end of German turn 11. Can you believe it? They're holding on for the fatherland. Stay tuned, folks. So here we are at the bottom of Russian turn 12. Oops, let's clean this one up off here. So at this point, the Russians have pushed forward. Flamethrower came and took out 2 teams. They took out the 3rd team, fled back here with its platoon commander. They are pinned down. They are in bad shape. Anti-tank gun is still there. The other anti-tank gun is still there. That whole area has been pinned. They lost a heavy machine gun team. These heavy machine guns laid into the anti-tank gun. All it did was just keep its head down. That's it. The next turn, the Russians should push forward like this into the woods, take this out in close combat, and that should secure the victory for the Russian troops. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. So, onwards to German turn 12. Okay, end of German turn 13. The red platoon vanished in the last stand, couldn't take it anymore. So the blue platoon is left. They came, they charged, they assaulted. There's only the platoon leader of our blue platoon left. That's it. He beat back the entire Russian group in close combat, if you can believe it. The machine gun fired to no effect. AT gun fired to no effect. This other AT gun fired. Oh, I'd have to double check that. But the bottom line is that right now, the White Company, the Russian White Company, is almost at the time to go and check its morale. So it's in really bad shape right now. They've been taking losses left and right in those close combats. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. The Germans are holding. The Russians have one last SMGs. That's their last thing. They can try to call in artillery strikes on this area and hope that everything will go great with it. All right, it's not over as we go on into, oh wow, turn 14. And here we are at the bottom of Russian turn 14. It's over. White Company went forward. The flamethrower went, attacked the HQ, took out the 2 IC. The 1 IC is now too far away to contest the thing. Well, yeah. Too far. Oops. Submachine gunners moved up. The red, what was left of the Red Company moved up, and they took him out in close combat. and these guys fired on the last remaining platoon commander. The Germans automatically break. The formation is gone. It is devastated. After 14 turns, they finally defeated them. They finally took the objective. But wow, what a bunch of ugly casualties it took to get to that point. All right, so that is it for this scenario. They are broken. Well, I'm sorry. Nope. Yeah, it's down to less than 2. They're done. It's over. Sorry, guys. It's been a long, long fight as we pull back and look at the whole thing. Germans put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, the Russians won, and it wasn't by tanks, it was infantry and lots of artillery. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I have, and there'll be others to come. In the meantime, take care, God bless, have a good day, and oh, yeah, have a Merry Christmas. And as we say goodbye to the year 2020, have a Happy New Year 2021. Bye now.